I was poking around the Newshound's website and noticed a blog post about Fox and Fiends doing a conservative hatchet job on John Edwards because of his $400 haircut and lofty speaker's fees. It was then I realized I'd bumped into a common trick Fox News pulls to slime liberals. They were bashing Edwards as part of their theme of the day. Because while I missed Fox and Fiends' right-wing pit bull routine, I did catch the big story's one-sided smear job of Edwards.
Hello again, I'm John Scott in for John Gibson, and it's time for Big Politics. Democratic presidential hopeful John Edwards consistently calls for action against poverty, but he's sure making big bucks talking about it. Senator Edwards charged $55,000 to speak at a publicly funded university in Northern California last year. While it happened before he officially announced his 2008 candidacy, his campaign spokesman now says, quote, John Edwards' speech at UC Davis was part of the Mondavis Center for Performing Arts Distinguished Speakers Series, which was funded by sponsors and ticket sales. In the speech entitled Poverty, the Great Moral Issue Facing America, Edwards was quoted as saying, for a country of our wealth and prosperity, to have 37 million people wake up in the morning in poverty is wrong. Well, as a self-proclaimed advocate for the poor, isn't it just as wrong for Senator Edwards not to offer himself up to speak for free at a publicly funded university? With us now, San Francisco Chronicle political writer Carla Marinucci. Carla, you broke this story.
John, I did. I tell you, I think what this says is that presidential campaigns have to worry about more than polls. They have to worry about perception. John Edwards has been a very big advocate for poverty, but boy, there's been a pileup of events in recent weeks. The $400 haircut, the hedge fund checks, and now these kind of fees to universities. You have to wonder how it plays in states like Iowa and New Hampshire, where he's really trying to push his sort of humble roots as a son of a mill worker.
Right, and you know, he kind of portrays himself as the guy of the common people, the lawyer who battles for, you know, injustice and so forth. But when you're charging 55 grand to a university, this is a guy who doesn't need to work another day in his life.
Well, let's be fair to John Edwards, too. He's not the first guy to make big bucks speaking at major events. Bill Clinton made $100,000 speaking at the same university, I might add. But the problem for John Edwards is a storyline seems to be developing here of a guy who's not do as I say, but, you know, it's a hypocritical storyline. And that's what he has to be worried about. Certainly, he's been out there. He's been pushing the poverty theme for a long, long time, and he's very, very eloquent in doing that. But when you have this gathering storm of events, that's where the problem is for John Edwards. For a public university like UC Davis, this is a taxpayer-funded university. He spoke at the Mondavi Center, but students were charged upwards of $17 to hear him speak about poverty. And the question is, what's with that?
So there's a little bit of a political tin ear going on here.
Yeah, and I think that's where the Edwards campaign has really got to watch this whole theme. They can take a lesson from the kind of things that happened in the last presidential campaign when certain storylines developed on certain candidates, like Al Gore. The perception was that he exaggerated, that he didn't play a straight and narrow with a lot of the facts, that he invented the internet, even though that's something he never really said. That storyline was a major problem for him. John Kerry, he was accused of being a flip-flopper. It was something he always had to deal with on the campaign trail. And if this one hands ammunition to John Edwards' opponents, and he's got to look out for that.
Carla Marinucci, San Francisco Chronicle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take this Democratic bashing at face value, and it seems only the Democrats suffer from these sorts of perception problems. Why aren't the speaking fees of Republicans mentioned? What about Bush 41 or Ronald Reagan? Is Fox News implying they're not champions of the little guy, so it's okay for them to cash in on their tenure as president?
And now the most fascinating 2 minutes in television, the latest from the political grapevine. Democratic presidential candidate John Edwards, who made his fortune as a trial lawyer before getting into politics, was paid $55,000 to speak to students at the University of California, Davis last year. His topic, Poverty, the great moral issue facing America, and that's in quotes. His campaign tells Fox News the speech was part of a series at the school and was funded by sponsors and the sale of tickets, which went for as much as $45. Edwards' financial records show he pocketed $285,000 for speeches to 9 colleges and universities last year, in addition to the nearly $500,000 he made in consulting fees from a hedge fund where he worked, he said, to learn more about the financial market's effect on poverty. A few minutes ago, we told you about the complaint against Democratic Congressman John Murtha over his behavior toward a Republican colleague when Murtha was challenged on money for a program in his home district. Now, the Hill newspaper reports Murtha submitted the earmarked certification letter for that project more than 5 weeks after the deadline and apparently violated House rules by sending the letter only to the Intelligence Committee chairman and not also to its ranking Republican member. Democrats say the project was not considered an earmark at the time of the deadline, but Republicans say Murtha was trying to sneak it into the intelligence budget. The administration wants to close that facility, the National Drug Intelligence Center in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, saying it duplicates services provided elsewhere. Syrian dissidents and pro-democracy advocates say their efforts were critically damaged by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Damascus last month. Activists tell the New York Observer